I'm Erik Halterman of RotoWire.com, and today I'll be talking about 4 players who won jobs this spring, who you should look to pick up late in your drafts or on waivers, plus one more job battle, which looks set to carry over into the start of the regular season. Up first, we've got Matt Shaw, Cubs third baseman. Sure seemed like he was set to win this job after the team traded away Isaac Paredes in the Kyle Tucker trade and then failed to bring in anyone else. Well, I shouldn't say they failed to bring in anyone else. They did bring in Justin Turner, but he's mostly a DH/first baseman at this time in his career. They also brought in John Birdie, who's much more of a utility man. Shaw had a slow start to camp due to a minor oblique issue back in February, which did reopen this job battle, but he was still ramped up well enough to start both games at third base in the Tokyo series. Not only did he start both games, he hit 5th, ahead of Dansby Swanson, which implies that the Cubs see him as a key piece, I think, not just somebody who's going to start 3 or 4 times a week and hit in the back of the lineup. Everyday playing time for Shaw gives him a good floor, assuming he hits well enough to remain in the majors all season, and there's a pretty decent ceiling here, too. Shaw hit .284 with 21 homers and 31 steals in 121 games across the 2 highest levels of the minors last season. There's real 5-tool, 5-category upside here for Matt Shaw. Up next, Kris Bubic appears set to be the Royals' 5th starter. Bubic has had a very interesting career path. Over parts of 4 seasons as a starter, he had a .485 ERA and a .152 WHIP, and then he had Tommy John surgery. If you wrote him off at that point, wouldn't have been a terrible idea, but he returned as a reliever late last year and was outstanding in 30 1/3 innings, .267 ERA, a .102 WHIP, but more excitingly, a combination of a 32% strikeout rate with a 4% walk rate and a 56% ground ball rate, doing all the things the pitcher has most control over very well. Now, the question, of course, with Bubic is, will he look anything close to that reliever version of himself, or is he going to regress all the way back to being the pretty bad starter that we saw early in his career? Well, Bubic is throwing with more velocity this spring than he ever did as a starter before, and he's also expanding his repertoire, adding a gyro slider. I think this could work for Kris Bubic, and the price is cheap enough that I definitely want to spend April trying to find out whether or not he's got what it takes to stick around all year. If you're enjoying this video, there's a job battle between the like and subscribe buttons down in the comments, and I don't know the winner of it just yet, so I recommend you check it out. Also, head on over to RotoWire.com for free access to all our latest articles and tools. Back to the names, we've got Dustin May, who has won the Dodgers' 5th starter job, a job which will eventually become the Dodgers' 6th starter job once Shohei Ohtani is ready to return to rotation. And this is a bit of a tricky one because I want every Dodgers starter for as long as they're in the rotation, but I don't expect any of them to stick in any of those back couple spots of the rotation for all that long. May's there now, though, so you probably do want him, as long as you're paying not too much of a cost to get him. A long list of injuries has prevented May from throwing more than 56 innings in a season at the major league level. A fun trivia fact, if you can call it fun, is that he has his highest career innings total back in the shortened 2020 season. Can't be many players for whom that's true. And it's somewhat tough to draft May, knowing that if he reaches even 60 innings, that will be a career high. But if you can get him late enough in the draft that you're thinking of him as an acquisition for April and May, and then you'll drop him once the Dodgers do, and maybe, you'll pick up Tony Gonsolin or Landon Knack or Ben Kasparius or whoever the next man up for the Dodgers is. May probably makes a better choice in shallow leagues because, again, you're probably not going to have him on your roster in July or August, but he is quite good, and I want him on there in April in leagues where it makes sense. Up next, we've got Aroldis Chapman, who seems to have won the Red Sox closer job. His top competition, Liam Hendriks, is having quite a rough spring as he works his way back from Tommy John surgery. Hendriks has a .995 ERA and a .221 WHIP, striking out just 12.5% of opposing batters, whereas Aroldis Chapman, even at this stage of his career, he looks like himself. It's a .245 ERA, a .109 WHIP, a 47% strikeout rate this spring for Chapman. Now, of course, he also has a 17% walk rate. Terrible control is part of the package with Chapman, but he's had enough swinging this stuff to make it work for over a decade now. It looks like it might work for at least one more season. Chapman looked like he was slipping, I would say, back in 2022, but over the last 2 years, it's a 39% strikeout rate and a pretty solid .345 ERA. I wouldn't consider him safe in this job. Hendriks could get good again and take it from Chapman, or somebody like Garrett Whitlock or Justin Slayton could stake their claim as well. But Chapman has the job today, and he certainly knows what to do with it in the 9th inning, having saved 335 career games. So if you need saves, Aroldis Chapman should get you them for at least a few months. And finally, we've got an unresolved situation that you're going to want to pay attention to in the first few weeks, maybe first few months of the season. That's the Diamondbacks closer. Manager Torey Lovullo has explicitly said that he's going to play the matchups early in the season, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go with a committee all year. It sounds like his preference will be for one of these guys to eventually take the job. These guys being probably Justin Martinez and AJ Puk. They sure look like the favorites. Martinez is a 23-year-old flame-throwing righty, got a 30% strikeout rate and a 59% ground ball rate last year thanks to his triple-digit sinker. Did have a bit of a walk problem, 12% walk rate there, but as we just heard with Aroldis Chapman, you can walk far more than that and still spend plenty of time in the 9th inning. Martinez just signed an extension which gives Arizona team control through his first 2 years of free agency, so that looks like a sign that he's the closer of the future. However, AJ Puk, a 29-year-old lefty who's fully a reliever now, again after attempting to start for the Marlins last year, Puk looks really like a closer as well. Take his numbers just after he moved back to the bullpen last season. It's a 1.72 ERA, an 0.75 whip, a 35% strikeout rate against just a 5% walk rate. Dominant season from Puk as a reliever. I would guess that the plan would be for Justin Martinez to get the 9th against righties and Puk to get it against lefties before one of them eventually takes the job for real and becomes a true closer over the back half of the season. But even that might be oversimplifying it. Kevin Ginkel, Joe Mantiply, they could be in the mix as well. So it's a difficult situation to figure out. In some leagues, I think you might just want to pair Martinez with Puk. In other leagues, you probably want to avoid the situation entirely. That's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments which of these guys you'd most want to have on your team, and head on over to rotowire.com/try for free access to the site.